Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Gran Turismo 7. So I'm not usually one really for sport mode. I get a little bit bored of it, racing the same 3 races all week, and to be quite honest, I really don't have the time to really put in to properly enjoy it in its entirety. But I had a few hours spare on New Year's Eve and thought, you know what, I'll do a last couple of races for 2022. So I thought I may as well make a little video of it, of my last couple of races of 2022 to see, well, how I got on. Now this is going to be last week's daily race A using one of my favourite cars in the entire game, the Alfa Romeo Guilia. Now this was at Sardinia, one of these shorter layouts, and as you can see we're on a kind of brake start. It's got the false start check on, and in my first race, well, we didn't get a very good start at all. As you can see, Nutter here, he's going to get a bit of a run up the inside of us, and then essentially he's in position to really take that corner in a much better place than us. However, it's all going to start kicking off. We're going to take a few nudges, and yeah, turn 1 just seemed to be causing people a ton of problems. I did a few races, kind of practice runs just before this one. In all honesty, I've not really ran it apart from, I believe, earlier on in the week. I think I did a single race, but with a few hours to spare, I thought I may as well just go in and do a little bit. We've got a nice little nudge up the rear there, and then you can see everybody else just pretty much ends up in the gravel. Absolute carnage in this race, but that's kind of what it is. A daily race A is much more kind of, I guess, mixed skill. You'll see people with different driver ratings, and whilst, you know, I'm not saying driver rating always means everything, you know, you do see that there is I guess a lot more carnage than the other 2 races that you usually get throughout the week. So we had a bit of a poor start, and it's just not gone very well for us. After a few nudges and a bit of carnage, we're going to end up down in pretty much P6. We were in P5, but as you can see there, we've gone a little bit wide, took a little bit of a nudge and dropped down a little bit further to P6. So it's all about trying to make up as much ground as we can, really. So as you can see up front, we've got these 2 battling away, and I'm going to try and just hold it back. That was kind of the main thing that I was really doing around here, was just holding back from these other guys, mainly because you can guarantee if people are racing side by side with how this car is and its characteristics, yeah, something's bound to happen. Especially at turn 1, people were really kind of trying to test the limit of where you can late brake, and most of the time it just wouldn't go well. So the car did have a penalty. We got past them, and we're going to get a run on Barrow Boy here. He's then going to go down the inside, and this is what I mean by people trying to take a late brake. They're going to hit each other. I'm going to swoop down the inside as tight as possible to try and avoid a penalty, and we're going to get 2 in a single corner. So now we're back in podium positions, but we're a long way off the front too. As you can see here, Goma and Nutter absolutely running away with it. They're pretty much in their own battle. But it's looking like Nutter made a bit of a slight mistake going in that corner, because it looks like we're a lot closer than we originally was. And as you can see, we're going purple currently. So yeah, I mean, not a bad race. I really enjoyed it, to be honest. But I think that's because I enjoy the car so much. Really, it is just a fantastic car. I believe we were on sports hards for this event, and just the flow of the track and the car itself just made not only for carnage, but some really good kind of one-mate racing. Now, usually I do kind of slate daily race A for that, but if there's a car that I'm interested in and it kind of all flows well, then I can usually have a few hours of fun, and that's really what I did here. As you can see, we've absolutely gained on Nutter through here. He's made a few slight mistakes. He's dropped back from the leader, and we're pretty much closing in on P2 at this point. I did find this corner here, the last corner, to be an absolute nightmare. It was really kind of awkward. Some of the other corners throughout the track did kind of, if you put the power down too early, you kind of spin it up and get a nice little twitch, which you'll probably notice throughout the gameplay, myself doing sometimes. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, that last corner was one that was kind of like a thorn in my side. It was just an absolute nightmare of a corner to get right, but when you did nail it, you could really sort of chop some time off. So we did get up the inside of Nutter, and we overtook him. He's pretty much just going to drop back at this point. He's going to hold on as best he can, but I'm not quite sure really what happened to his pace, or, well, really his race. He just seemed to have a great start and then just, you know, drop off from lap 3 onwards, especially on the last lap as well. I believe he ended up like, I guess, middle of the grid towards the end, so I'm really not sure what happened to him. So I couldn't quite be bothered to actually set my rig up for this, so I'm actually doing it on controller. And in all honesty, once you kind of got used to how the car is and where you can kind of, you know, tap your throttle and get on the brakes and stuff, it really wasn't that bad. I did expect it to be worse. I usually find that road cars are much better when driven on a wheel. But in all honesty, with a bit of kind of, you know, a couple of races of practice and a few qualifying laps, yeah, I really did find where to, you know, brake, where to, you know, put the power down and that in this car, because, you know, each car in GT7 is completely different. Obviously, this is a very powerful car, really enjoyable to drive, but it does feel a bit awkward jumping in it. So recently, when I've been using this car, I've been using it to just grind money with at Le Mans, and I've got a really planted setup there, whereas, you know, when you go into sport mode, it just felt completely different. So that was it. We ended lap 3 in P2, and we're going to end up the whole race really in P2. We just couldn't quite get that time down to catch the leader in the end. On the he did manage to take fastest lap as well on the final lap, so well done to Goma. We are going to meet him again in my final race for 2022, which again took place here. We're going to use Alfa Romeo again. We've got the same false start check, but this time we are going to get a much better start. Whilst it wasn't perfect, it was much better than the start that we did have in the previous race. I just felt that's where it really went wrong. And then obviously if you do get a bad start and you get caught in the pack, or someone just, you know, doesn't brake at all into turn 1, you can guarantee there's going to be a lot of carnage. So hopefully we can get away better in our final race. As you can see, we've got someone already up the inside. We're going to call him, we'll just call him 97 for the sake of this video. And obviously we've got Goma in front, and it's basically just going to be us three running away from lap 1 really, and having our own little battle. There is going to be a bit of drama for poor little 97 a little bit later on, but yeah, we'll go into this replay camera here. I feel like it looks absolutely fantastic and really does show off, you know, just the gap that not only all three of us got, but just how, you know, close and tight the racing was. And I feel like this is when sport modes at its absolute best, where people are really pushing each other to the limits. A lot of races just absolutely break down into carnage, or you'll always get that one person that thinks it's absolutely hilarious to take out the rest of the lobby. But when you're kind of, you know, in your flow and stuff, GT sport mode really does shine. As you can see, as you go up the hill, if you put the power down too early, like happened to 97 there, you get a nice kick of power. We did go a little bit wide, so that's how he's managed to get past us, and we did manage to just keep it out the gravel, because I feel like if I hadn't, that'd have been my race over at this point. So now I'm looking forward and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm just going to sit back a little bit. I'm not going to push too hard, because again, like I mentioned, people do like to test the limit of braking, and I like to take usually a lap or so just to figure out what these drivers in front of me or behind me are actually like. This way I can take the correct actions when it comes to, you know, racing them or, you know, defending from them, because you'll either get someone that'll absolutely pile into the back of you, or you'll get someone that, you know, just likes to give you a little nudge wide. So at the minute I'm still a bit wary of 97 here. I'm not quite sure how he's driving. He was an aggressive driver, but he's fairly clean. Like, I can't really say he did really that much wrong. So I'm just going to hang back and let these two try and basically take time off of each other, because once they start battling, I can just then, you know, make my move there. As you can see, I thought I might be able to get the front end down the inside there and just get a position done, but, you know, 97 did have that one covered. We couldn't quite make it. Now everybody's got their own line through here. It seemed like Goma would sometimes absolutely kick the rear end out, and other times they'd take it nice and clean. Now I do want to apologise for the lights flashing. That's because on my controller, obviously the lights button is there on the stick, so it does flash quite a lot, and I do use stick extenders for when I'm racing. I do find that they just give you that bit of extra, you know, grip and cleanliness. I feel that's probably why I'm so comfortable on controller. I felt like if I went back to a controller that was, you know, had no stick extenders on, I'd probably be absolutely awful and want to be on my wheel all the time. But, you know, with my stick extenders, it does actually make it a lot more comfortable, where if I just don't want to go through the hassle of, you know, getting my rig set up and, you know, getting my wheel out and sorting all that stuff, that I can quite comfortably, you know, play on controller in the comfort of my own home. And with it being New Year's Eve, there was no way I wanted to go through the pain of setting my rig up last minute, when I literally had to run out to work within about half an hour before this race started. So yeah, as you can see though, at 97 he's going to go for his little off there. I think he just kind of caught the rear end on the curb, grip, and like I said, with the characteristics of this car, it can cause you to basically just flick the rear end out. So he's now left the battle and dropped down to P4. As you can see, he's got a car in front of him with a penalty, so I'm sure he's going to get that one back. So it essentially just leaves me and Goma to battle it out. Now, I met him quite a few times, pretty much nearly every race I went in he was racing around, so I met him on my practice runs, and then I met him in these final 2 races as well, and he was really great to race with, nice and clean. He did kind of have a habit of, you know, flicking the rear end out, and sometimes it kind of worked for him, and other times it'd cause him to lose a lot of time. So, you know, I was hoping that he'd kind of just keep the rear end flicking out and he'd just get it a little bit wrong, and we can, you know, nice and cleanly take advantage of that, because I feel like my driving style for this Alfa Romeo was more kind of, you know, throttle control, tapping the brakes, and, you know, just trying to keep it nice and clean and steady, really, to take advantage of, you know, those that were kind of just flicking the rear end out. So that was my main kind of game plan at this point. I'm thinking, well, if I can nail this last corner, I can get a run on him. Obviously, the slipstream being quite good in these cars, and that's really where you have to take advantage of it. But you do have to be careful on that exit. As you can see, if you do cut that line, you can end up with a penalty. So it's really kind of, you know, pushing the limits and finding the limits. So we do get in the slipstream. We're quite a bit back at this point, and I don't think I'm going to be able to make a move into turn 1. However, he gets a nice line through there, but so do we, and we stay right on the back of him, almost closing up quite a bit at this point. Now through here, it's a pretty simple corner, but if you put the power down too early, you'll find yourself kind of floating outwards. This one here, though, it requires you to brake a lot earlier than you probably think. As you can see, he's going to go sideways there, where I've tried to keep it nice and smooth. I do then short shift pretty much out of there to stop the rear end kicking out, and then again through here, he's going to take it sideways, where again we've gone for a more clean line, and I'm going to short shift out of this corner, just to ensure that we don't get a kick of power. We do end up with the better run. We're going to try and take it down the inside, almost going onto the grass there, which can be an absolute nightmare. If you do catch it on there wrong, you are guaranteed to slap yourself into that barrier, and we do get our move done. But as you can see, we're going to come out of here. We're going to try and, you know, ensure that we get the power down as smooth as possible. With only a few corners to go, I'm basically just holding on for dear life, knowing that if I make the slightest mistake, it's going to basically cost me a race win in my final race. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I felt like it was a fitting end to the year to say I don't really focus too much on sport mode to get a win, you know, especially when it's kind of the end of the year and it's your last race. Just felt kind of fitting and, you know, rather quite nice, to be honest. Yeah, it is a different kind of feeling winning a sport mode race. So we are going to take the win in this Alfa Romeo, which, you know, the reason I say it felt so fitting was because it's not only one of my favourite road cars in the game, you know, I've really enjoyed it since it's come in the game, and then obviously to just take a win in sport mode in it just felt, you know, like a perfect end to kind of my multiplayer racing for the end of 2022. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what 2023 brings in terms of the races and stuff. I wonder if we'll kind of get some shake-ups, but really enjoyable race, really awesome racing. So thank you to Goma and 97 as well, even though he did kind of drop off on lap 3 there for the fantastic final race. So there we have it. That was my final few races of 2022 within Gran Turismo Sport Mode. Yeah, there was kind of just a last minute time killer thing, but I really ended up having a ton of fun in there. I did have to pretty much shoot off to work within a few minutes after that final race, but I had a whole heap of fun. Ended kind of my Sport Mode year on a high with a big smile on my face after some awesome close racing in one of my favourite cars. So I just thought I'd kind of just make a bit of a different video and just share kind of what happened in my final races of 2022. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Turn those notifications on as I upload Gran Turismo and motorsport content each and every day. I'll have my Discord, my Twitter and my donation link if you want to help the channel out down in the description down below. I massively thank you for your support, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.